With all the crazy stuff happening in the world right now, my new channel, What's Out There, is here to offer hopefully a breather from this all. We will delve into the mysteries of life, the universe, and everything in between with the help of short under a minute videos. So please give it a shot and check it out. I will make sure to put a link in the video description. And as always, you can also help yourself by buying a brand new Windows 10 or 11 Pro retail key for the still insane low price of $12.50 only. If you are interested, please follow the link in the video description. Hello everyone, welcome to the special video about Starfield. I've not been very active for the last couple of weeks on my YouTube channel, and to be really honest, mostly it's because I've been playing this game, Starfield. I'm currently reaching about 80-ish hours, finished the game, started a new game plus, and well, I did notice there is actually quite some controversy about this game. Not everyone really likes it, so I was wondering what's going on with this game, what's all this about, and maybe you remember in the past I did do some videos calling What's Up With, and I thought it would be nice to create a video calling What's Up With Starfield, since there apparently is a lot of things to discuss about this game. So let's start at the beginning. The first thing we ever saw about Starfield was during the Bethesda's E3 presentation in 2018, where they did show this Starfield logo. At that time we had no idea what this game was supposed to be about. Guessing it would be some kind of Fallout in space-ish game, and it took quite a long time before we actually learned something about this game. If I remember, like only 1 or 2 years before release date, we finally saw somewhat of a first trailer, and also finally saw something about the engine they're going to use for the first time, the Creation Engine 2. So what was special about this? Because according to what we should have believed, this game was in development for 25 years. Well, that's not actually true. The game was only really in development for 8 years, but this is going to be the first franchise since 25 years from Bethesda Game Studios. So that's actually quite a thing. Well, let's start with the bad and the ugly about Starfield. I would say the first thing which really jumps out of probably everything is that this game is the first Bethesda game which is not available on PlayStation anymore. Since Microsoft bought Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, this game is the first Bethesda game not available for the PlayStation, only on Xbox and on PC. So yeah, that means a lot of PlayStation 4 and 5 users are not able to play Starfield anymore. And most likely a lot of new, I should say, Bethesda and Activision Blizzard games are probably also not going to be released anymore on the PlayStation. And that's kinda a big hit if you are owning a PlayStation. So that's probably the first thing which really stands out when it comes to negativity about this game. With that, I would like to also point out another thing. Yes, Starfield is on Xbox Game Pass, which means if you have the Xbox Game Pass subscription either for Xbox or PC, you are able to play it freely as long as you have a subscription. The problem, however, with that is, and not many websites do mention this, the modding support for Xbox Game Pass games is not that great. As a matter of fact, you can't really use a script extender properly, and an EMB also has some issues with the Xbox Game Pass version of certain Bethesda games like Fallout 4 and Skyrim. And with that, it doesn't really have a great track record of modding support for Xbox Game Pass games. So that's a little bit of a problem if you are playing this game on Game Pass and you want to start modding it later. For that, you might have to buy the game from Steam, an example, to be able to use EMBs, script extenders, and any mod organizers, which normally might not work that great with the Game Pass versions of the game, of course. So what for me personally was the biggest disappointment in the game? Well, to be really honest, it was the space exploration, or I should say the lack of space exploration. And what do I mean with that? Well, if you have played Star Citizen, you know that you really have the feeling of one-on-one planets, like the real-life scale. And it also means in-game you can literally fly through to anywhere on the planet, and the planets are huge because yeah, I think they're supposed to be one-to-one skill almost, and that definitely is different in comparison with Starfield. With Starfield, you have some very, very limited space of flying around in your spaceship, do space combat, but you're definitely not able to fly through the atmosphere or land on the planet. It is literally just fast traveling somewhere on the planet, and with that, it's just limited space, and yeah, you probably have some procedurally generated things on planets. And I have to say, on planets itself, once you're landed, it doesn't look bad. It's actually kind of cool to explore the planets, and you really have lots of room. You know, you somewhat have a feeling that you're on a planet once you've landed, but the space exploration itself is not that great. That's mostly just fast travel. And with that, you know, it feels a little bit like more of a new Fallout in space than it actually does feel as a Star Citizen. But that's not all for me. The first thing I found really strange, an example, is the first time you visit a city, there is no local map of the city. There's only a star map where you can see the planets and the point of interest on the planet. But, you know, just a city with a local map where the shops are and other points of interest is missing. And that's super annoying, as you have no idea where, you know, certain shops are. Certain quest areas are, and yeah, that's really weird because this was always implemented in the other Bethesda games, so I have no idea why they didn't really add this at the launch of the game. Funny enough, later I saw in an official Bethesda post that they are going to implement this later apparently, but I mean, this is such a core feature. Why didn't they insert such a basic thing at the base game at release? And in addition to this, not the cities are only huge, the entire freaking game is huge, huge, huge. I know this sounds very cliche for a big Bethesda game like this, especially in space, but there is so much stuff which you can do. And, you know, a lot of people who try to approach this positively, they will say, it's like, you know, you're entering this world and they let you free where you can find out things for yourself. And that all sounds very romantic, but the problem with that is you miss out on lots and lots of stuff. For me, an example, I've played this game when I did finish it for about 50 hours or something. I didn't even build a single base on the planet. I didn't even craft a thing. And a matter of fact, I always ended up selling my materials or storing them. And also, one of the biggest, I just said the biggest parts of the games is like modifying and building your ship. But I just didn't understand it. You know, it's then of course you can Google it, you can go on YouTube and searching how this all works. But I shouldn't have to go to YouTube. You know, the game should give me some basic explanation how to upgrade a ship. So eventually it makes a little bit sense on how to upgrade your weapons and stuff, but the ship builder itself really has zero explanation for me. Or maybe I'm just too stupid to understand it, but yeah, it's strange, you know, it's such a big part of this game. And not only that, but also things like crafting weapons, items, armor, like you also have in the Fallout and Elder Scrolls games, there is almost zero explanation about this. And sure, you can find it out, but you have really sometimes no idea what you should do, and or you're missing materials, and then where to search for them. And eventually, I personally just ended up selling everything, and I ended up finishing my first game with not building any base, not upgrading anything of my ship. I just bought a ship out of frustration at a certain point because, you know, you have to get good at space fighting at a certain stage. And yeah, if you haven't upgraded a single thing in that, you're going to fail horribly, and it's extremely frustrating, especially if you really haven't got any good explanation during this game. So definitely a little bit of an annoying thing that, there's the very lack of explanation of things you actually can do in the game. And now I am at New Game Plus, and I'm still discovering new things. So yeah, you know, it's a little bit strange. I also had this, to be honest, with Fallout 4 and Skyrim at the first time. There's so many things you can do regarding crafting, weapons, items, armors, potions. And yeah, you get really not that much explanation about it. Then there are some things, an example with the NPCs and the companions you can use as followers, you know. They're They're okay-ish, especially I think of Fallout 4 they were pretty poor. Maybe Piper was okay as a follower. The rest was, for me, not really much. Not much saying as an NPC. They didn't have much own thoughts. And in Starfield, they do have their own thoughts, but it can be a bit annoying how judgy your companions are. Pretty much anything you do, which is a little bit out of the lines, you get judged by immediately, and it can be a little bit annoying that you know, when you want to do things your own way, that a companion has some very strong opinions about it. And what makes things even worse is that sometimes if you speak with the rest of your crew, they also judge you for that. So that's kind of annoying, even while you can say like, okay, who cares about what they think? It's a bit of annoying that you constantly have it in the back of your head. Once you start doing naughty stuff or killing stuff, your companions will not like it. And it's more noticeable here than it was in Skyrim or Fallout. So yeah, maybe a small thing, but it's not really something I like. Another small thing, an example, is strange, I think, is that once you've landed on the planet, you don't have a ground vehicle to explore, so you can only run or use your jetpack. And that's really silly, because Todd Howard said at an interview once, you don't need any ground vehicles because you can fly with your ship. And that doesn't make any sense, because you cannot fly with your ship and a planet. You only can land it somewhere, which is pre-assigned, and then you have to just walk and run in order to explore the planet. So yeah, those are the biggest things I would say annoy me the most about Starfield. And I thought, let's just dive into what the Steam reviews have to say, and let's see if I can recognize some of those points of critique there as well. Alright, so welcome on the Starfield Steam page. What I do notice is that this game only has a 7 out of 10 for all the overall reviews, and that's for me shockingly low. In the way that this is a new Bethesda game. You know, it has Creation Engine 2, one of the biggest, I would say the biggest Bethesda game out there, and the first new franchise since 25 years. This game has not been received very over positively well. It's actually mixed, you know, with a 7 out of 10 is okay, is good, but not great. And that's very surprising for me that this game has been reviewed like this. So I did read some of the reviews. With some things I definitely agree. An example, someone said that the main character has no identity at all. And, you know, I've been thinking about that, and actually he is right. Your main character has no identity at all. You're just a miner, and eventually start learning more about the main quest, but not really an identity. And that's kind of strange if you compare it with other Bethesda games and their single-player stories. So, okay, that's true. There are also some things I would call bullshit. Sorry, but it's just like bashing on this game because you can bash, apparently. But there are also some things which I would say are in between. Like, people would say this is a really empty game, you know, there's not much really to explore. I do not agree with that. I can understand maybe if you mean that for the planets, you know, the moons and the planets. I have to say the variety in landscape on these abandoned planets is okay. It's good. I agree. I wouldn't spend 24/7 there just exploring, as it was not that satisfactory. But in general, the exploring really makes sense. You know, an example, you can just visit the main city and literally run away from the main city all the way up to the planet and keep running. And most of these planets are fun to explore, not for a very, very long time. Especially, like I said earlier, you don't have a buggy or a ground vehicle to explore these planets, which is strange because you can only run, you know, use your jetpack. But overall, you know, especially if you only do the missions, there's lots and lots of things to do already that you don't necessarily need to like visit these planets for no reason. And yeah, I guess it's mixed, which is fine, of course. Everyone has their own opinion, and the main conclusion, however, is that this game has a 7 out of 10, and this doesn't lie. You know, it has at the moment mixed reviews, and that's definitely something from Bethesda to check out why that is and what they can do to, you know, prevent this or to fix this, because definitely possible, you know. And it's just, you know, this as for me quite controversial that this game only has a 7 out of 10 as the newest Bethesda game with the new Creation Engine 2. You know, it should have been a new generation, but not really received as well as it probably needed to be. Alright, so what do I personally think about Starfield? What is my experience? What are my thoughts about this game? Well, I have to say it felt very similar when Cyberpunk 2077 was released, in the ways that this game also had a long development time. It also got like delayed a couple of times, same thing as with Cyberpunk. And eventually, you know, Cyberpunk also had a huge hype around it, lots of videos, lots of promises. And from something like that, you expect miracles. Well, eventually Cyberpunk didn't really deliver everything it promised, but it turned out to be a fantastic game to play. You know, it's one of the fewer games I've ever played. I've finished 3 times, fully finished a single-player game. And with Starfield, it pretty much felt exactly the same. This game had a really long development time, had been delayed a couple of times. Eventually you expected miracles from Starfield, and I guess that's why all the negativity comes from this game. You know, people expected miracles. It didn't deliver the miracles, but the game is great to play for me personally. It plays fantastic. It's really a lot of fun. I currently have 80 hours in the game, and I'm really enjoying it. So why am I really enjoying it? First of all, I've played 80 hours so far, and it's only been mission play only doing quests and stuff. So, well, people are saying this game feels very empty, you know. I can somewhat understand that if you mean like exploring empty planets, but come on, man, this game is not empty. It is so, there's so much things to do, so many factions, so many quest lines, so much stuff to do. And sure, but it's the same thing as you would play Fallout 4 or Skyrim, where you have to like, you know, if you only focus on the main mission, sure, eventually after like 20-30 hours-ish something, it would go away anyway, and the side quests feel a little bit empty and meaningless afterwards. But how is that different from Starfield? I think that's not really a fair thing. It's however fair when it comes to planet exploration, especially after the main mission. That really doesn't make any sense, but still a lot of fun. So yeah, the game is very big. There are lots of things to do. And while I said earlier, you know, it lacks a bit of explanation on what you can do. You know, if you really love games where you don't get any explanation and you're just thrown into the world, you're really going to have a lot of fun. The another thing I do notice is on New Game Plus, I start, you know, doing more of the stuff I missed out in my first actual new game. So yeah, there's so many things to do, but only if you don't like all the optional stuff like I do, don't like building bases, crafting, that kind of stuff. There are still lots of quests to do, and I'm not even talking about, you know, the space combat, the shipbuilding, because apparently that's like half of the game, but I didn't do much about it, only purchased some necessary upgrades. But, you know, this game will get you entertained for months, if not longer, you know. And I'm not even talking about DLC, about modding, I'll come to that later, but this game really will keep you busy in a good way. It's definitely not filler content, the quests you have. An example, in Assassin's Creed or some similar Ubisoft games, a lot of the objectives are just filler content. In Starfield, all the quest lines, you know, it's like you expect from a Bethesda game like Skyrim, Fallout. They're pretty well done. Not everything is super top tier quality, but it really keeps you entertained. And sure, you know, it's going to be fun for a very long time, only if you prefer doing just missions. There is also one very big thing that keeps me into the game, and that is the gunplay of Starfield. It's not been talked about very much, but I think the gunplay, so playing around with weapons, is very well done. A big part of the id Software team, from the guys from Doom and stuff, they assisted the guys from Bethesda, and that's definitely noticeable, as yeah, the gunplay just feels really good, really smooth, and that's the main thing I only like. If you want to play this game as a shooter, I think it actually is possible and works pretty well. With that said, if this was not done by the guys from id Software and we just had a clunky-ish Bethesda game, then I'm not really sure if I would have finished this game. but mostly because the gameplay feels very smooth. I just love continuously playing it, you know, shooting things. And the other downside is that on a lot of missions I prefer to just, you know, attack everyone, shoot everyone, because I love to play this game as a shooter. That's not always the safest choice. Like I said earlier, also your companions will start whining that they do not accept that choice, but yeah, you know, they have to suck it up. I'm going to shoot everything I can. And the fun thing also about that, in New Game Plus, you can choose, you know, a different path. So yeah, very, very big thing for me, the gunplay, and it's definitely noticeable that the guys from id Software assisted on this. And then one of the most amazing things of this game is its ending in combination with New Game Plus. There will be no spoilers, don't worry, I'll try to explain the spoiler-free together with everything in this video, no spoilers. But the ending is absolutely mind-blowing for me, especially in combination how they did implement this in New Game Plus. So at the start of this game, you know, you are just a miner and you will find this special artifact, which has been between the other rocks in the cave you're currently mining. And you take this artifact to a group called the Constellation. They're like the space explorers, you know, in space. And nobody really think high of them, but they're just there to explore the vastness of space and the outer layers of space, which have not been discovered yet, that kind of stuff. But anyway, you deliver that artifact there, and this group, and this is actually the main mission, you will try to find out what's about this artifact, why it's so special, and if there are more artifacts, and yeah, eventually what this will all do and what this brings all together. And things are eventually happening in the main mission. Again, I will not spoil, but big things are happening, and one of the things is, how do I say this spoiler free? Eventually you meet someone, or yeah, something you meet, and you're like really like, okay, what the fuck? What is this? I didn't expect any of this was happening. And the funny thing is, in New Game Plus, you actually experience this for yourself from that perspective. And what's super weird is I have no idea if Bethesda actually thought people would think of this out of character, you know, out of the player, but out of character and in-game in character, this is so freaking awesomely done. It's really, you know, I can't say it without giving away any spoilers, but the ending in combination with New Game Plus for me was like, wow, okay, Bethesda, a big applause from my side. This is very well done, very, very cool done, and for that I really, really would recommend you finish the main story. And well, I normally didn't really had a feeling of replaying a game like Fallout 4, replaying the game like Skyrim, because it doesn't really make sense, it doesn't really add anything to the experience. In Starfield it actually does, and that's so great, because this huge freaking game can now be played again and again and again and again. And that's something, again, I didn't saw coming, and I thought, okay, this is the quality Bethesda Game Studios finally shows after all the other disastrous things they did publish. I think I should name that correctly. They published, it didn't create. But Starfield they did create, of course, and wow, this ending really blew my mind, especially in combination with New Game Plus. So something, in my opinion, which has never been done before, like this and this skill. So again, please start finishing your main quest, because I would say it's absolutely worth it. And last but not least, what about Starfield, seeing this from a modder's perspective? You know, my channel is all about modding, mostly Skyrim, later also a little bit about Fallout 4, and the remaining stuff is Unreal Engine stuff and some other games. But I've been modding Bethesda games for a long time, you know, Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Fallout 3, and where I'm truly known for is modding Skyrim, creating mod lists. So yeah, I can say I kinda know all my Bethesda games when it comes to modding. So what about the modder's perspective? Well, this game, whether you like the game, you hate it, you don't care about the game, this is going to be the future. Why? Because this is Creation Engine 2. And yes, at this moment it's already struggling a bit with mediocre hardware, but this is the future. This is going to be our foundation from now on, and this also gives a great look what Elder Scrolls 6 will be capable of. Yes, I do think a truly modded Fallout 4 and a truly modded Great Skyrim Anniversary Edition will look better, to be really honest with you. But this vanilla Starfield has some fantastic graphics, which really tops sometimes a fully modded Fallout 4 and Skyrim. So yeah, but that's logical, of course. But this is just a foundation. Things will start from here again. We will start again with Skyrim Script Extender, with the EMBs, with all the insanely amazing model and texture packs, new weapons, all that kind of stuff. This will be, mark my words, the top 3 most modded games in Nexus in probably 2-3 years. Only bad thing is, I have no idea why they did do this. They will release the modding tools only in January of 2024, so that takes 2-3 months still. But even now, plenty of mods are being released already without even the Bethesda tools for modding, which is a fantastic thing already, because yeah, Bethesda games are about modding. And also, as of today, like a week ago or something, the official DLSS support was built in the beta from Starfield, and I'm currently playing the beta. And I could tell you, that's night and day difference for if you have an Nvidia card. Yeah, trust me, DLSS will absolutely be a game changer. Everything from my end now is 60 FPS plus, where that definitely wasn't the case. And ultra settings, even when I had like a high-end PC, i7 12700K, RTX 3090, 32 gigs of RAM, NVMe SSD. For me, it's sometimes struggled with outdoor areas, but now it runs super smooth. Also, before I forget, I see a lot of complaints about loading screens, black screens, long loading screens. I'm not sure what kind of hardware this is played on, but I had 0 issues with loading screens. Maybe it's because I'm playing it on an NVMe SSD on Windows 11, which can now, I guess, use direct storage, if Starfield supports that. Maybe that's the reason, but I had 0 issues with loading screens. So yeah, it might be an Xbox thing or something, but from my end, I didn't had any issues of that. So surprisingly enough, I was really in the mood, like when this game was released, like, yeah, screw this, it's not what we expected, lots of promises, this will definitely not be in my top 5, blah blah blah. But now, you know, after a couple of months have passed, I've playing this game for 80 hours and I love playing it every day when I'm home. Again, this is one of the reasons why my YouTube content is lacking, because I've been playing this game. Yeah, it's a bit cliche, but this game for me is Game of the Year. I know, in an insane game year like 2023, because that's what it is, an insane game year. As a matter of fact, I would say since the 90s, this is the top game year we've ever had. That's really how I feel about this game year. Still, Starfield is for me Game of the Year. And yeah, it's just something I didn't really expect the first time I started playing this game. And when I watched the reviews, you know, I thought, okay, this is going to be a mediocre Fallout in space. Okay, great, we have a new engine. But it really turned me around when playing this game. I really, really love it. It's really lots of fun. And while I do understand the criticism, I think it doesn't really outweigh the fun and content this game currently has. And yeah, for that I just don't really understand the negativity. Also, like, IGN put up a 7 out of 10. Very briefly, I thought, come on, this is not a fair grade. You have to finish this game A to Z. You can't just play half of it and, you know, give a rate like that. It's just give this game a chance, and especially on Game Pass. Come on, it's basically free. You know, just play it. I know the beginning can be a little bit tough, I would say. I'm honest in that. It's a little bit tough getting into the game. But, you know, after a couple of hours, once you're getting into the open world and you can make your own decisions, this game is fantastic. And I'm not saying that because I love Bethesda games, because some horrible crap has been released from Bethesda as a publisher, not as a game publisher, but sorry, as a game producer, I should say, for Starfield, Bethesda Game Studios. But this game I really love. For me, it is Game of the Year, hands down, even in this insanely good 2023 gaming year. So with that, we come to the end of this video. It's been a while since I've done a What's Up With kind of video, so I hope you liked it, and I hope you guys are still watching me, even while my YouTube channel is still declining in subscribers. But hey, it is what it is. That's how algorithm works. And that's for me a way to work on this myself, how to turn that around. But nevertheless, thank you as always for the ones who are viewing. And I would say while I'm recording this, if you're still watching, I would say just type in the comments something like, what shall we do? Just type in Todd Howard has a thumbs up for me. So type that in if you're still watching. Todd Howard has a thumbs up for me, and then I know who is still watching all the way at the end. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you at one of my next videos. Take care, bye bye.